Welcome to the Communities of Character podcast. It's the show that shares rich conversation about character development across different vocations and callings. I'm Jennifer Hogan, your host, and today we're continuing our series on the 11 Principles Framework from character.org. Today's focus is on Principle 10, which centers on engaging families and community members as partners in the school's character initiative. And today's guest has some incredible ideas to share of how her school embraced Principle 10 and created parent learning communities to forge true partnerships between the school and home. Today's guest is a longtime educator and brand new principal, Laurie Presley. Laurie served as a classroom teacher for 25 years and held many leadership roles and honors. After she completed her residency for administration, she was awarded the position of assistant principal at Holt Elementary, and she's now serving her first year as principal of Taylorville Primary School. Her hope and passion is to empower and motivate students and families to high levels of learning, leadership, and growth. And when she's not working, she enjoys spending time with her family and friends. She also serves in various positions at her church, and she spends time working with mentor programs for at-risk youth in her community. I'm thrilled for you to get to hear from Laurie Presley. Hello, and thank you for joining us for today's episode of the Communities of Character podcast, a place where you can learn about all things character. I'm your host, Jennifer Hogan, and today's guest is the newly appointed principal of Taylorville Primary School and former assistant principal of Holt Elementary School, Laurie Presley. Welcome, Laurie.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you here. And for our listeners who may not be familiar with you, would you share a little bit about your transition from assistant principal to principal and your mission and vision?
Well, I am literally transitioning. I have been here 2 weeks. And it's just an honor to be appointed with this position. I've been at Holt Elementary for 4 years. And so now we'll be the principal of Taylorville Primary, which is pre-K through second grade. My passion and vision through all of my years as an educator, assistant principal, and now is just to empower and motivate teachers, parents, children, families in the community. I have just a strong belief that people need to believe in themselves, believe in their potential. And I feel like an educator just has that power to ignite that belief. It's my hope to just draw people into a place where they know it's a safe place, where they receive love, respect, joy. And with that, the children can learn and grow and just be the best version of themselves that they can be. And feel that an educator has that within their circle of influence to children with the families and even to reach out into the community. It's just really important for me to know that children find a safe place and joy in schools. There's so much going on in the world right now, and especially post-pandemic. And I think everybody's been through a lot. And I just think positive relationships are so important. And, just that impact and that positive source around them will help children be what they can be, help them learn to focus, grow, and just flourish. And I just think right now more than ever, that's important.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And I love how you said, just with educators, a great reminder to all of us that it's within our circle of influence to help kids and others believe in their potential. I just love that. Would you share a little bit about how did you get involved in character education?
Well, I got involved with character at Hope Academy when I was in my admin residency at Cottondale Elementary. We went to Hope Academy. But now all through my years as a classroom teacher, I have taught character. And, it's just very important to be that example for children and teach character and do role play and do, just talk about what it looks like, what we're feeling, what we're doing. It reminds us again to be our best selves and to be the best we can be in our environment we're in, and then where we can take that in our life and out into the community. But I've had character curriculums throughout my education career, and even do a lot through children's literature, the Book of Virtues, different character programs, read alouds, that use teachable moments, projects, um, counselor guided lessons. But then, as I said, when I was in my admin residency, I got involved with Hope Academy. And that just kind of closed that gap and brought that circle full force, and really just put that stamp on importance for me.
That is awesome. And Holt Elementary, where you've been the past 4 years until 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
yeah, they were named a promising practice school by character.org. And a promising practice is a school initiative that strongly aligns with one or more of the 11 principles that we're going to talk about, that helps a school to intentionally create that culture of character. Could you share with our listeners how the 11 principles framework from character.org guided you in your work at Holt Elementary?
Well, using that framework, it helped us to really be intentional. We would use the framework, and it was almost like looking at standards for a teacher's classroom. It really guided us. It helped us create a stronger foundation. It helped us focus on those very specific guiding principles of character. It helped us as a school to examine and be very intentional again for where we wanted to be and how we were going to get there. And I do feel that that is always an ongoing process. I don't think you ever arrive, because the world's changing and we have to change with it. But we can use that framework as a guide for that. It provides standards that open the door for tough conversations,
Mhm.
where we were, what we needed to do, what was going on, but also open that door for possibilities and how we can make that positive impact and what we can do in the school, but also in the community. And I mention the community because within our schools, we can't keep it within those walls.
Mm.
Those children are with us just a portion of the day, but what is in their home with their families and the community, that's that surrounding that they live in, day out, from sun up to sundown, that's truly what's impacting them. So we've got to venture outside of our walls from the school. And that framework is just that guide that helps us create those positive changes. Um, and Hope, we were so proud to be awarded. We were actually awarded two promising practices. And as I said, that is still a continued work in progress. Um, you are not at a finish line, but you're always working and you're always growing and you're always changing because the world's always changing. But one of our promising practices was parent PLCs, which focuses on exactly what I'm talking about, really getting out into the community, getting out into the homes, bringing the parents in. And it was just an amazing thing
That's
to see
awesome.
happen and see transform. The other one was a service project where we have Wings of Grace in the community. And Wings of Grace serves well, it serves all of Tuscaloosa communities, but it is actually right there in the Holt zone. But they provide resources for food, clothing, services. So we did service projects at school to do canned food drives, to support Wings of Grace. We had a yearbook staff of children that would, after school, go volunteer at Wings of Grace. So our school and our children were learning to serve and to help and to grow, and helping a organization that in turn reached out and helped their families. So,
I love that. And I can hear your passion in your voice as you talk about that. And, I have never heard anyone compare the 11 principles framework to, like, it's like looking at standards for a classroom. And that is such a great analogy because, as you mentioned, times have changed, the world is changing, but these principles of character are not changing. Those are the standards. And we're gonna dive deeper into principle 10, all these things that you're talking about. Principle 10 of the framework centers on engaging families and the community as partners in this character initiative. I can't wait to see what you do at Taylorville. But I love hearing about the things that happened at Holt Elementary. And I'm curious, how meaningful was it to your school when those parents and stakeholders were included and engaged in that character work at Holt Elementary?
Well, as I said, the parent PLC, that was the main focus of that because Holt Elementary, typically one of the issues, if you would say, was parent involvement. Holt Elementary is it's a Title I school, low income, 100% free and reduced lunch. And the parents and the families have a lot of stressors that they're dealing with.
Mhm.
And when you have a lot of stressors in the home and you know your child is taken care of at school, the parent actually being in the school and being at the school and involved is not first of importance on their plate because they have so many other things they're dealing with. But in truth, we wanted to empower those parents. They are the first educators in their children's life, and they are huge in supporting the positive and negative things that are going on in the children's life, and they don't even realize it. So our goal was to empower those parents because, as you know, we are all better together and we wanted our parents with us. And what the parent PLCs, we do PLCs in our school with educators where they're planning and ways to address children's needs. Well, our parent PLCs were parent learning communities where we could address the needs that the parents could use help with. And we aligned it where we involved everybody in the school even before we our first initial, I guess you would say, kickoff for this, we had all the children involved. Like we would have children out at car riders holding signs about "Don't miss it, it's coming soon." Parent PLC, we want you to be there. Um, be a part of our school. We're a part of your children's lives. We want you a part of our school life. And children would be holding signs, advertising. So we really built it up. We did phone calls out. We had signs, we had posters, we would send notes home. And our children were divided into teams where they were doing character lessons and things in their teams, and they could earn points when they would do certain things. So when we had our kickoff nights, children would bring their parents to the parent PLC and they would get points for their team. They would line up, it would start at the door. And I'm going to tell you, our first night that we did parent PLCs, I think we had, counting children and parents all together, we had about 200 people at Holt Elementary.
Wow,
Oh,
that
that is a wow. That is phenomenal. And they would line up, and we had like we would sign them in because we had children. We did like STEM activities for children, and then we had our parent activities. But they would line up at the door, and we would put our little children's sticker on them, almost like checking them in at church with their parents' name and the children's name. And they um, would have that, but we had the TV screen right where they would sign in with the dojo points. So we were right there celebrating them as they came in, and they would all get their points and see their points come up for their team. So immediately, even walking through the door and signing in, we were celebrating the children, their teams, the parents. You're here, this is going to be awesome.
yeah.
So, and then we went to the lunchroom. They ate. We would do housekeeping things. We would welcome them, and then we would divide into groups. And the parents got to pick their groups. And our groups were things like, I need help helping my child with math. I need help learning what my children are doing and reading and how I can help them. I need help with disciplining my child. I need help with knowing issues with technology. I need help with um, character education. We had a group literally that talked about the character framework and what we were doing in school and how that could carry over to home. At Holt Elementary, we have a large Hispanic population. We had a group geared just toward our Hispanic families because what we would typically see in our normal PTO meetings, you would be talking and you'd have a translator over here amongst this group of parents. So they were never their own group. So we had a group for them where we hit all of these topics. It had our translator in there, and so they were in there with their own specialized group. So we had a group that hit just almost every area. Um, and
That
it
is
was just a great thing. And then they could change groups. We had door prizes. Um, every now and then we would throw in a highlight group. We had a group from the university from a program called the Lift program that would come and they set up in the computer lab and they helped our parents with things like basic things that you don't think about, like email, job applications, because we would do job fairs. And anytime there was a job fair in the community, I would try to post it on our Facebook page. But a lot of our parents didn't have technology in their home other than their phone. And so to use a computer was a difficult task for a lot of them, even to do things like InfoSnap, to do a job application, to do email. Um, so we had a group that came in, and those parents, if that was a need, they helped them address that need. And some even applied for jobs that night in the computer lab. But it was just a great thing. And then at the end of the meeting, we did door prizes to wrap it all up. But to see those parents learning and growing and being able to take things back to their children and home and just having everybody on the same page and using the same vocabulary and just for those children to see we're all in this together, it was just such an impactful thing. And then at the end of the year, we did a graduation ceremony and we
Hmm.
had a big meal. We set up the gym with tables and flowers and balloons, but we did a graduation ceremony for those parents and the children were there. And a lot of our parents had never graduated. They'd never received honors. They'd never received certificates.
That
And this is one of those things we had not anticipated the plus or the impact.
mhm.
They when called up to get their certificate, the pride that you saw in those parents and those children. Those children would go up with their parents, and in a lot of cases, would go up and get the certificate. And it was like a diploma. You have graduated from PLC communities this year.
That is amazing. And
It really was amazing. I mean, we had some parents literally crying,
oh, that is
just, and that was an impact that we had not anticipated. Um,
inspirational.
but it was just all on board, all involved, and of course, COVID hit about a year after that, and so we lost some of the being able to gather, being able to do that. But
Mhm.
it is I'm not there, but I am going to tell you, it is coming back in full force this year. And the ultimate goal is to have those parents. We have built those support groups within those groups meeting. And the ultimate goal is to have those parents take leadership roles and to even branch out into communities because most of the communities and like the housing authority areas have community centers. And the goal is to get those parents to take a leadership role, go into those individual areas in the community, and bring in more support groups there for those parents that did not attend.
Absolutely. That is awesome. And I know that you can't do that work alone. It takes an entire school staff to be able to
Oh, it was
hold up.
all, as I said, it was all on board, but
Oh,
just, it was an amazing thing to see.
I love it. Well, what advice would you give to leaders, Laurie, who are wanting to move from their parents just being recipients of information to really being partners in doing the work of character education?
Well, it's one step at a time. One step at a time. Every day is a new day, and we're going to take steps forward, and then there's going to be some steps back, like COVID, like as I mentioned, was a huge step back. But get that positive information out there to the parents, to the community. Let them know what you're doing in the school and show them how exciting it is. We are I guess the media for our parents. If we don't put the positive out there, they don't hear it. And we all know, negative news and drama spreads a lot quicker than the positive. So we need to get that positive out there. We have to be that example and show them what we want to see. And we have to let the parents in on that excitement, and we have to empower them, just like we have to empower our children in the classroom. We have to empower those parents because they are critical to the work we do. They are critical to it having that lasting impact and that punch that is needed. Um, those parents, like I said, they are so important because that's what those children go home to every day. And we get our children in the classroom and in the school, and we don't know what they're dealing with at home a lot of times. We don't know where they are. And we teach that education for different things and model different things in the classroom, in the school. But there's ways we can help teach, ways we can help model, and there are needs out there in those homes. And a lot of times those parents just don't know, and they don't know to ask, and they're embarrassed to ask, or they're embarrassed to share. So you have to build those relationships. You have to build those relationships so that comfort zone grows. So you are actually opening those doors to communication, and you're empowering those parents. So those parents will in turn empower those children, and we will all be on the same page. And again, because that's how it's going to work, we're better together.
Yes, those are all great pieces of advice to any leader. And you have just given so much today in this interview, with your passion and with the ideas about the parent PLCs. And I just feel like our listeners are going to want to reach out to you for more information. And I always ask at the end of these interviews, from all of our leaders that we talk with, could you share a book or a podcast recommendation that you have found to be impactful in your character journey?
Well, two of my most current books I have been reading: Multiplying Excellence in Your School,
Hmm.
Eyes on Culture by Emily Paschal. I actually heard her speak at Mega Conference,
Awesome.
and it is just a down to earth, basic read, but it talks about actually what I just talked about, really building that relationship, really finding out where your children are, where the barriers are, if they are struggling with academics or they are struggling with behavior, trying to find that why. And
Hmm.
there may be an issue or a need in the home that you can help with, of
Hmm.
building that relationship with that parent. And it is just a phenomenal book about bringing excellence into the classroom, into the homes of the children, into the community. And she talks about her journey and where it started, and about how she just jumps into the homes and builds those relationships with those families to meet those needs. Because our children, especially children with behavior problems, they don't wake up in the morning and say, "Oh, let me go see what damage I can do at the school today." There's a why.
Yeah.
There's a why behind it. And our children today, and again, especially with COVID, they are facing so much trauma and so many social emotional issues. And that's what that book deals a lot with. And it's just great. And it's an easy read.
Awesome.
Um, Another one is Lead Like a Pirate, and that's really geared toward administration, um, by Shelley Burgess and Beth Hoff.
Uh,
Make school amazing for your students and staff. But again, the main focus over and over in these books that I love, it's about building those relationships and building that community. Um, and then just two others that they're ones I've read in the past, but I keep them right by my side. Actually, they're laying on my desk at Taylorville Elementary. Clifton Talbert's 8 Habits of the Heart for Educators. And then, of course, Liz Huntley, More
yes.
Than a Bird, just the impact an educator can make just realizing the difference. And a lot of times you make that difference and you may not realize it right then, but years down the road, something's going to come back to you from that child grown up, um, from that parent, and you're going to see the impact you made. And sometimes you may never see that impact, but that teacher has that potential to
Absolutely.
just turn that around, to be that change agent that makes a difference in that child's life. And that's what, from those books and the experience of those authors, you see that, and that's reinforced and just amazing information in all of these books. But it does boil down to the impact you can have as an educator, the impact, and I say an educator, but even people that aren't in education, if that's your life walk, the impact you can have on people in your day-to-day circle, that circle of influence,
Hmm.
you can make such a difference just in the joy, the way you talk to people, the relationships you have with people. You can make a difference, and relationships are so important, and that's the foundation of all of these books that I've suggested today.
Love all the recommendations, and I will be sure to link those in our show notes. And I really feel like our listeners are going to want to reach out to you. What are the best ways for our listeners to connect with you, Laurie?
Well, my personal email, I don't mind anybody emailing me if you do have questions or just want to shoot me a message, is lpresley at tcss.net.
Okay.
I also am on Twitter and Instagram under LDP Teach,
Okay.
and then Facebook, Laurie Presley.
Okay. I will also be sure to list that in our show notes. Any of our listeners want to connect with you. And Laurie, I just thank you so much for being here today and sharing about all the inspirational stories and the awesome work that you have done and Holt Elementary have done for character education. I can't wait to hear what's going to happen at Taylorville Primary School. I know that you're going to carry that passion and inspiration with you and turn it into action. And so I can't wait to hear about character initiatives that you're going to lead there. And to our listeners, if you're still with us, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss another episode. And thanks again, everyone. Take care.